now, it's time to get unmasked. Please welcome your host, Pamela Elaine Nichols and Cheryl A.S. Haley.
Welcome to UnMasked Real Talk Live. This is a place where we get real about topics not often discussed authentically. But guess what? I need to pause for a moment to say, I feel alone. My partner in love is not here with us today, but she's here with us in spirit. We ask you to just keep her in your thoughts. She's not feeling well today, but guess what? She's right here with me. But again, we are so glad to join you again today for UnMasked Real Talk Live. The topics we choose, as we always share, to support our goal to help you feel better, to look better, and to live better. Today's show topic is, guess what? You are more than enough. Today's raffle, the winner will receive a vision leadership journey. And we recognize that each of us have a leadership journey that we're on, but you're going to have the opportunity to win a leadership vision journal. Today, we have with us a very special guest. Her name is none other than Pastor Marquissa Williams. She is the executive pastor of Capacity Church Philly. We are so excited that she's here with us. And not only that, she's the founder of Elevate Leadership Enterprises. So, one of the things that we have this quote that we want to share with you. And the quote says, in life's orchestra, let your value drown out self-doubt. How many of us need self-doubt drowned out? We want you to embrace your uniqueness. You're not just enough. You're an inspiration, crafting your extraordinary journey. And that's an anonymous quote, but we thought it was so fitting for today's topic. Now, for those wrestling with self-doubt, here's a question. What if your unique qualities hold the key to unlocking your true worth? Did you know that a large number of people, including those in our faith communities, who sometimes hide behind the cliche, how are you doing, blessed and highly favored, but struggle with self-doubt, struggle with feeling that they are unique and that they matter and that they are enough? Guess what? This is often because of society's high expectations, constantly comparing ourselves to others. And we talk about that comparison syndrome where people get caught up in looking at the other person and comparing themselves instead of embracing and appreciating their own sense of self-worth and trying to meet impossible standards. I didn't say possible, impossible standards. But don't worry. As I stated earlier, our special guest aims at helping you to find your way to accepting yourself and feeling worthy. Pamela Elaine and I, in her absence, we welcome none other than our sister friend, Pastor Marquissa Williams. Again, she is the executive pastor of Capacity Church Philly and founder of Elevate Leadership Enterprises. Welcome, Pastor Marquissa. You are no stranger to our community, and we are so glad to have you back in the house today. Y'all, do y'all check out her glasses? Y'all know, but her glasses are absolutely beautiful. She said it brings the energy into the space. So we want to just kind of defer to you just to kind of talk about this topic, because we recognize that 2023 is almost over and we're getting ready to enter into 2024. And while we might not do it because they were vision focused or vision directed, but people get stuck in all the things we just talked about. How can you help somebody or speak to somebody who's feeling like, hey, I'm just not enough?
Listen, that's loaded. It's a loaded question. But first, Reverend Cheryl, thank you so much for having us. Pam, Sister Pam, we are praying for you for speedy recovery. We miss you.
Yes.
We miss you. We absolutely miss you. Listen, I check in, and your energy is definitely missed as well. So I just want to say that first and foremost, we honor you even in your absence.
Yes.
So this topic about you are more than enough. Listen, it's very dear to my heart because I've been through some things.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that our past, our life's journeys sometimes hinder us, or these, I'll say, uninvited seeds have been planted into our psyche and into our mind that tells us that we don't have what we need.
Mm-hmm.
We're not bringing enough to the table, right? And so we go through life shrinking back,
Yes.
right? We know in most cases that there's something unique about us, there's something special about us, but somebody somewhere, something that we read, something that we've experienced told us maybe not.
Yeah.
And we take that on, and then we live this life of I'm not enough,
Yeah.
or I need to do X, Y, and Z to get to a certain destination, or to a certain place.
Yeah. Pastor Marquissa, I don't mean to interrupt, but just something
Yeah.
just came up for me, and I just got to ask this question because sometimes when we say shrinking back, and
Mhm.
for that person who might not, I want you to really unpack that. But I
Yeah.
want to ask, is that considered playing it small?
Playing it small or even just being invisible, it causes us to be unseen.
Mhm,
Like we just fade to the back. Nobody knows we're there. They
mhm,
just walking by like we're not even in the room. None of the stuff, right? So shrinking back, that's what I mean, diminishing
mhm,
all of who we are,
mhm,
right? Or we're just giving a piece
mhm,
of who we are.
mhm.
And I will say, in my journey, if I could share just a brief
Yes,
testimony around
please.
it, because it got me to this place
Mhm.
where I got sick and tired of me
Ooh.
back, right? Because looking at my life, being and it happens sometimes culturally, being the lighter in my family
Mhm,
caused me to appear different or to be treated differently or certain things that was being said, right? My intellect, right? I used to always love reading all the time. My grandparents instilled all the reading and stuff like that. But when I was around certain people, I wouldn't let people know what I knew.
mm,
Because somebody told me, "Oh, you too smart. Just be quiet. You just know too much. You're just saying X, Y, and Z." It's good things about us that somewhere, someone said it's too much. You're doing too much.
mhm.
And I'm here to tell everybody, do all the things. Be way too much. Be team too much.
See, that's an opportunity to be extra.
It's be extra. But somewhere, we might have had some of you might have had that experience, right? Where someone's told you it was too much and you just stopped talking.
Mm,
You stopped writing. You stopped showing up
mm,
because you were bringing all of the things to the table. So I've experienced this in everyday life. I experienced it in the corporate sector. I've
mhm,
experienced it even in ministry, all the things.
mhm, mhm,
And I believe that's a trick of the enemy, hands down, trick of the enemy to stop us from fulfilling the purpose that God has given us, from being who we're purposed to be.
mhm,
We are more than enough. What do I mean about
mhm,
more than enough? We are able to accomplish anything, but we have to first believe it.
mhm, mhm.
We do have to get beyond the obstacle. We have to press beyond what was spoken into our lives. And guess what? It might not have been something spoken into your lives, but sometimes our personality, right? We have this perfectionist spirit, right? And
Yeah.
we've made a mistake.
Ooh.
We've made a mistake and we said, I'm not trying that no more. I'm not doing that again. I got embarrassed. I'm not, something, I'm feeling some kind of way. I'm not doing that again. I'm not trying it again. So those even mistakes in our lives can cause us to just diminish who we are.
But when you think about when you talk about those mistakes and that perfections, because I'm
Mhm,
somebody who used to struggle from that. It had to be
mhm,
all the T's had to be crossed and all the
mm,
I's needed to be dotted. And if
mhm.
you made a mistake, it's almost like it immobilized you that you couldn't move forward. But when you
Yeah.
think about that perfectionist syndrome, when you move past that, what does it create an opportunity for people to recognize about themselves? Or could they learn something from those mistakes? Could you speak to that?
That it was in me all along. That I could have done this all along. What was I waiting for? What have I been doing?
Mhm,
And then, but one thing when we see that, it should encourage us. But
mhm,
I wanna put a spin on it too. That
mhm.
it also, if we're not careful,
Come on.
it could cause us to fall into depression. It could cause us to go into regret. I've been wasting all of this time. Oh my gosh. And we still feel some kind of way. But we got to press beyond how we feel. When we get the opportunity to go beyond the obstacle,
Mhm,
celebrate
mhm.
that we have overcome it.
Yes. Yes.
That it was in us all along, that we're smart, we're beautiful, we're intelligent, we're talented, we're gifted, all the stuff. but we gotta fight for the enough. We have to fight
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to prove it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is our life worth? What is our purpose? Is it worth the fight?
It's worth it. It's worth it.
It's
It's
worth it, but we won't sometimes we don't know it until we get to the other side.
Marquissa, Pastor Marquissa, there's just so much that's coming up for me. When I thought about what you said, and to our viewers that are watching and listening, and some of us might be in that place, when you talked about the different scenarios with workplace being one of those, I used to remember, and it kind of connects with that comparison syndrome,
Mhm,
working hard. Well, we work very hard. I'm just going to leave it right there, and you guys, you can interpret under what I'm saying. We work very hard, and we sit back and we watch people seem to get promoted, and we're sitting back wondering, why am I not getting promoted? Or they're getting increases. Why am I not getting increases? And
mhm,
someone said to me, because something key that you said, they own their voice. They
mhm,
recognized who they were, and that they were more than enough, and they asked for what they wanted. Can I tell somebody who's listening, while you might be waiting for someone to give you that increase that you so rightfully deserve because you're more than enough, until you ask for it, guess what? They're going to continue to give the just across the board raise. Every
mhm,
raise that I got, once I began to exercise something key that you said, I got raises above and beyond, only
mhm,
because I asked for it. Because when we
mhm,
recognize our
mhm,
worth, as you're talking about, is so important. So
mhm.
we talked about the work, you talked about the workplace, but what about in ministry or in our
Yes, yes.
communities?
And if I could just backtrack really quick, and then I'll jump into ministry. Let me tell you about the corporate space. I've been in corporate America for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And no offense to anybody who wears weaves or whatever, right? I was weave extraordinaire. Let me tell you, right? I enjoyed it, but I got into a point where I wasn't satisfied with, my appearance, how I looked or whatever. I knew that part of why I was doing that was because it was an expectation of how I should look in the corporate space, right? The starch white collars, the hair, the blah, blah, blah. And then one day I said, I'm sick of this. And I decided to go natural, right? But when I tell you my knees was knocking, I was shaking in my boots because I was terrified of how people were going to perceive me. Now I showed up in the rooms, right? With what, my skill set, all the things, but I was so afraid about what people were going to think now that I was naked. When I
Mm.
tell you, I literally cut my hair down to I had the little buds. And I walked into that office and I was like, Jesus. What are they gonna think? But I took on the biases that other people had
Yeah.
placed on natural hair, right, for African American women, and so that was a hurdle I had to overcome, and when
Mhm.
I got over that hurt, people was like, "Oh my gosh, your face, you're beautiful. Oh my gosh," it just added to what I was already bringing to the table. So when I say you're more than enough, we don't
I
have to
love
shape
it.
ourselves based on an expectation or a bias that we hear about, read about.
Yeah.
Show up as your authentic self, naked and all, to those tables and watch what happens to your career, watch what happens to your confidence, because now you all out here. You're
We're
out here.
all out there.
There's nothing else to lose.
I
It's,
love
it's,
it.
it's here.
I love it. I love it.
So when we think about ministry,
Mhm.
the same thing,
Yeah.
right? There, we want to be in a place, right? And I know for me,
Mhm.
ministry for me was I'm going to come and share my calling, my giftedness, my whatever.
Mhm.
And honestly, I ran into some unhealthy people that I shared that with
Mhm.
who was almost
Almost.
convinced me that I wasn't called to ministry, that I almost was not ready to do what God was calling me to do. They were questioning every action, everything that
Mhm.
God was allowing me to do,
Yeah.
and having me second guess who I was.
Mm.
And I'm like, God, you said I'm
Mm.
this, and I've been doing this, but they said,
Mhm.
no, I ain't ready.
Mm.
Or, and that put a hindrance in that space that I was in. And so I had to overcome it because I had to, one,
Mhm.
get over what people said about me and remembered what God says about me.
Ooh, that is so powerful.
And it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that sometimes.
But when you think about that in the context of the faith-based community, Why do you think it's hard? Because I know that there are people that we've been there, we've all been there, but why do you think it's such a great struggle in the faith community?
Well, I come to realize that even in the faith community, people are people.
Mm,
Right? I had to dig deep about this. I had to talk about this. Leaders are people, the
mhm,
people in the pews are people. We come with our own baggage. We come with our own perceptions.
mm,
But it's up to us to become healthy by, reading God's word, to be around people who are healthy that can pour into us and to help change our mindset, and not be competitive and not have that tension that the world has. We are called to be different in there, but there's work to be done in the kingdom. There's
mhm,
work to be done in the ministry. And so I had, when people say church hurt is absolutely real. But also there's some work that we all need to do individually to
mm.
become healthy to help the whole.
Yes,
And I
yes.
realized that I had to take a step back and say, what do I do? And that's where my desire for leadership development came. I said, it's some hurt leaders here that
Mm,
I've been hurt by, right? How do I help them? Because I don't want people to to have those same angst that I had, to have those same experiences that I had. So
mm,
it's everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
But again, I think it takes us individually to say, who am I called to be? God, what did you say about me? How can I help the communities that I'm in? And how do I overcome what has been spoken over my life irresponsibly?
Mhm, mhm,
Right? How do I speak the truth in love and say, hey, that hurt? Hey, this is what I heard. So
mm,
I have some points, if I'm allowed to talk through that, that I
yeah,
think that could help us go through that because it's real in all areas of our lives. We
mhm,
need to say that we are more than enough. I'm more than a mother,
mhm, mhm,
more than a wife,
mhm.
because we limit ourselves. I'm more than a teacher. I'm more than a preacher. I'm more than just this core because we are created to do it all, all.
Yeah,
We are created to conquer. We are created to do all the things, but we can't allow the voices,
that's right, that's right.
even our own,
Yeah,
to hinder us from our purpose. We have to walk in rooms.
yeah.
We have to look in the mirror and say, I'm more than enough.
Absolutely. There, Pastor Marquissa, there is a question. I mean, the chat is blowing up, but there is a question that someone put here I
Mhm.
have to ask. And it says,
Sure.
how do I overcome what's been spoken over my life irresponsibly?
Mhm.
And as I read that question, I thought about something you said earlier, because a lot of this is deep rooted. It comes from our childhood experiences, and then we have these other experiences, and all of these things we give some level of meaning. But how do we overcome what's been spoken over our life irresponsibly? Could you speak to that?
Yes, absolutely. So I don't know. I mean, I'm quite sure this is a broad audience. Everybody's not, faith-based community, but I will tell you, one of the things that changed for me was understanding what God says about me.
Mm,
It helped me to overcome gradually and to also surround myself with positive people who saw the best in me to encourage me. So when we're trying to overcome those words about those words that spoken over us irresponsibly, one, we have to forgive.
mhm,
We have to forgive those persons, but also we have to begin to say, affirm ourselves. What do I believe about me? And literally write them down. I'm not talking just speaking in the wind because once we write it, it's permanent, it's locked in, it's locked down. It's something we can refer back to.
mhm,
So for the person who asked that, how do I overcome? First, forgive the persons or
mhm,
experiences, right, that spoke over our lives irresponsibly. But then go back and say, who do I believe that I am? Do I believe that I am smart?
mm,
I am gifted. I have something to offer the world. I am this. Create I am statements
mm.
that affirm you.
Yes.
And you have to keep repeating them and believe it. Once you repeat it, you believe it. It gets embedded into your psyche, it gets embedded into your heart, and then you become more confident in doing so. So that's how you overcome it.
Yeah.
Always you have to address it. Now, I will say, sometimes you might have to say, "Hey, you hurt me."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you need to be careful about that thing. You need to really pray about it. If you're a person in prayer, you need to meditate about it on timing and if this is something you should say. Sometimes you just need to say, "Listen, I forgive that person and I'm walking in the newness." And ask yourself, how bad do I want what I know to be true about me?
And you know what, Pastor Marquissa, because we're looking at the time and our 30 minutes seems to just wind down so quickly.
Mhm.
There's an unmasked question that we want to pose to the audience because you're speaking some real talk. And like I said, people are responding. So in alignment with what you're sharing, I want to take an opportunity to ask our unmasked question to our audience, and you can continue and speak to that. We want to ask you, how can self-criticism be a mirror that reflects our self-worth? How can self criticism be a mirror that reflects our self worth? And I'm going to be looking at the chat, but could you speak to that as well?
Self-criticism is reflective, just
Mhm,
like a mirror,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So that even the things that we speak negatively, "I can't do that. I can't say that." You have to reverse it. I learned in my biblical counseling sessions in my time of certification, there was a teaching called the put-ons and put-offs,
mhm, mhm.
right? Right. So what am I going to put on those things that I know that are negative about that I'm saying about myself? What
Yes.
can I put on positively? If you say I can't public speak, then you put on, I can speak loudly, I can speak confidently, and then put an action to it. Do I need a coach to help me with public speaking? Reverend Cheryl is speaker, teacher extraordinaire. She's a resource. Listen, somebody that can help you speak. Listen, who was it who said I can't speak? Was it Moses?
Oh,
Moses said,
mhm,
I'm stuttering. I can't, God, I can't say those things. I stutter after all. He said, I got your helper.
yes, he does.
So what do I need for those things that I am self-doubting? I'm criticizing myself about.
Mhm,
Get resources, look in the mirror and give those affirmations.
mhm,
So that's what I would say about self-worth. You have to acknowledge that you are worthy, number one, even with the critiques, even with the flaws. Let me tell you, the Bible is full of flawed people who have overcome them and have changed the world. Do you hear me?
absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
turned the world upside down. That's a whole other teaching.
It's a whole nother teaching.
It's a whole other teaching. So here's what I'll say, if I can, uh,
Yeah.
Reverend Cheryl. So here's some things, an acronym. So empower,
Mhm.
embrace yourself. Embrace yourself. The word tells us, Psalm 139:14, I am fearfully and wonderfully made,
Yeah.
right? Master your mindset.
Woo.
Master your mindset. Think on those things that are lovely, that's good about you. Philippians 4:8 and 9. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Change your mindset. Master how you think about yourself. P, pursue your passion. What brings you joy? You have to go get it. You have to overcome it. You have to reach for it. 1 Samuel 30:8. David prayed to God, how should I go after this? How can I catch them? God answered him and said, go after them, catch them. You'll do it. You are going to do the thing. So you pursue it. Oh, overcome obstacles, as we've already talked about, knowing that you are more than a conqueror.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to press towards that mark of the high calling, right? So you press towards that, overcome. That's how you overcome it. Worthiness matters. Your worthiness matters. Know your value and what you will not compromise. You are more than rubies, Proverbs 31 says to the woman. She's more that she's valuable. And then elevate your environment. Surround yourself, and we spoke about that, with
Yes.
people who are positive and supportive. Proverbs 13:20 says, become wise by walking with the wise. And then recognize your strengths. Know what you do well and sharpen them. You don't have to be like somebody else. What you do well, you sharpen. And you need to know that you are a royal priesthood, a holy nation. You possess talent. You possess all the things. So acronym for empower: embrace yourself, master your mindset, pursue your passion, overcome obstacles, worthiness matters, and elevate your environment and recognize your strength.
Well, you know what? Pam and I, empower is one of our words as empowerment coaches. So, what you just shared in that acronym is so powerful. And we are grateful for those who put it in the chat. We want to make sure that you walk away with that. You know, everybody has put in the chat, they are co signing, they are loving what it is that you have shared, because that's what we want to do is have real talk about issues that come up so that we know how to address them and how to handle them. Well, every time we wrap up our show, we always like to have our guests, or either we give three takeaways. You
Mhm.
kind of touched on them in your acronym, but we want you to take an
Mhm.
opportunity to very quickly
Yeah.
give your three takeaways on being enough. And then we're going to go into our raffle prize. This was powerful. My
Listen,
goodness.
y'all know, I just, I say y'all. Listen, y'all. You got to know your worth. You have to say, I am enough for
Yeah.
everything that God has called me to do. I have a purpose in my life
Hmm.
and I need to accomplish it. A life without purpose is just living. It's just, you're just living. You're just here. You're just existing. We are here to make an impact. So here's my three takeaways. And
Hmm.
I kind of covered some of that. One, embrace yourself. Embrace your true, authentic self. I talked about my hair, the whole experience there, including your strengths, including your weaknesses, and including your unique qualities. And then empower your mindset. It
Yeah.
has to start with how you think.
Yes.
You gotta fight for it, because all those thoughts, all the insecurities, it's going to keep bucking up against
That's right.
what you're wanting to do. So you have to keep fighting for it. Self-talk, reinforce your worth, reinforce your potential, and then elevate your existence.
Yes.
Rise above self-doubt, rise above limitations,
Hmm.
and recognize you have the power to shape your life in meaningful ways in spite of what has been spoken over your life or what life experiences have brought you. Elevate your existence. Make yourself seen. Stop fading to the back.
My,
Stop shrinking back,
that's
fading
right.
into the wall. No
Oh,
more of that. No more. We're done with that.
powerful,
We're
powerful
done.
powerful takeaways. Thank you so much, Pastor Marquissa. What we're going to do is, because you actually today, she has gifted our lucky winner on today. I'm not going to say lucky, our blessed winner on today with the Vision Leadership Journal that's going to allow you to journal a lot of what she shared that remind you that you are more than enough. So our producer is going to put it on the screen, and we're just going to say blessings to the
Two
lucky
people. Two
winner.
people.
Oh,
Two.
it's two people. Oh, two
Two.
people. Oh my goodness. Wow. All righty. Congratulations, Lisa Coleman. And producer, you can actually spin again because you got a second one. Woo! Okay. Deirdre Douglas, congratulations. Deirdre, what we want you to do is to inbox us your information so that we can make sure we can get that to Pastor Marquisa. Congratulations to our lucky winners. And again, we are just so grateful for your being our special guest on today. Pastor Marquisa is we're gonna put on the screen how people can stay in touch with you. We know that there's some people who are already connected, and we're grateful to be part of that tribe. But there's some other people. We want them to be able to connect with you so that they can learn more about what you do with Elevate Leadership Enterprises. Women of faith, as we wrap up, we got something to share with you. We have a call of action for you. Picture the male that you care about and want to become a better father. You're an attentive lover, healthier communicator, emotionally open, and all around better person. Is that male in your mind right now? Great. Send him this link to join our first ever for men only group empowerment coaching program. he gets the first 3 coaching sessions free with Pamela Lane and I, the duo coaches. And Kayla is going to post a link there that you can see for men only. If she could post it one more time, because we want you to be able to take away and walk away with this. This is the best Thanksgiving or Christmas gift that they can ever receive from you. We look forward to seeing you next time at our regularly scheduled Unmasked Real Talk Live. Thanks for joining us again, Pastor Marquissa. We were blessed to have you in the community. We see lots of love. You blew up the chat with all the feedback. But again, we'll see you all next week at our regular time at 12 noon for our Unmasked Real Talk Live. Have an amazing day.